Are you an up-and-coming technician who's never received formal training on how the air conditioning system works? Or maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer who absolutely loves to learn everything about your car. Well, if that's you, this is the perfect video for you. Welcome to Mercie J Auto Care, where compassion and craftsmanship come together. I'm certified master technician Rick Smith. So I'm basically going to do an air conditioning 101 for cars today. So first of all, let's just talk about basically how does the air conditioning work. Well, essentially what we do is we use refrigerant. Now you may know it as Freon, but quite frankly, Freon is a brand name, just kind of like Kleenex is a brand name for facial tissue. And so the refrigerant we're talking about today is R134A. That's the most common that's used in automobiles right now. There are other refrigerants out there. Some of the systems work very similar, some are a little bit different. But this will help you understand it a little bit more. So basically what we do is we take this refrigerant, and inside the car, we take heat from the car, we put it into the refrigerant. Then we put the refrigerant out in front of the car, and then we dump the heat out of the refrigerant. Now, refrigerant has a couple of very interesting characteristics to it. First of all, it changes state. So in the system, it can be either a liquid or a vapor. So think about water. If you have a bottle of water and you put it in the freezer, it changes state to a solid. If you heat it up, it changes state to a vapor. Okay, so it can be a liquid or a vapor. The other thing that's interesting about refrigerant is that temperature and pressure go hand in hand. So if we increase the pressure of the refrigerant, we increase the temperature. And likewise, if we increase the temperature, we increase the pressure. Okay, now let's talk about how it actually works on the car. And by the way, what you're going to figure out in this video too is many of the parts on a car are named after what they do. So we have an air conditioning compressor, okay, and the refrigerant is in the compressor in a vapor state. And that's very important to remember because we cannot compress a liquid. If we put a liquid inside of this compressor, we're going to damage this compressor. So the compressor is essentially a pump. On some cars, it's driven by the belt, and on some cars, it's driven electrically. Now, when it's belt driven, it can be driven all the time, or it can have a clutch that electronically it gets turned on and off. But no matter how you slice it, this compressor is a pump, and so it compresses that refrigerant. So we have vapor refrigerant in this compressor, and it has now compressed it to approximately 250 pounds. Now that can vary dramatically depending on conditions, but for our lesson today, let's say that it turned it into 250 pounds of pressure, and that vapor is now approximately 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So we pump it out to a part that's in front of the radiator out by the grill. It's called a condenser. So we now have this high pressure vapor in the condenser. And because that vapor is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit and our outside air is about, say, 100 degrees, if we blow air over that, we remove some of that heat from the refrigerant and just put it out into the air in front of the car. Now, there's a couple things we need to do. If we're sitting still, we need some fans running. So this could be referred to as a condenser fan or a radiator fan. The reality is that both of these fans blow air over the condenser and the radiator in this case. So once we're over about 35 miles an hour, we actually have plenty of air flowing over that just from natural driving. So we've pumped that vapor at about 250 pounds of pressure into this condenser. And you might guess what happens as we dump the heat out of the refrigerant. This vapor condenses into a liquid. So it enters at about 250 pounds of pressure as a vapor. It exits about 250 pounds of pressure as a liquid. From there, it goes to something that in this particular case, this is an expansion valve. We can also use what's called an orifice tube. But what we're doing at that point is we're taking this 250 pounds and we're rapidly dropping it. We're dropping it down to about 40 pounds per square inch. And so guess what happens to the refrigerant? Now it becomes about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then this part is inside the car, and it's called the evaporator. So now we have this refrigerant that was a liquid refrigerant at about 250 psi, dropped down to a liquid refrigerant that's about 40 psi. And so now we have this 40-degree temperature refrigerant in this evaporator, and we blow air over that with this thing called a blower motor. That's what blows on our face. Now, there's a few things inside the car that can affect this. There's some doors, and they're basically deflectors. So we could run all of our air over this evaporator, or we could run it over the heater core and give us heat, or we could mix it so that we can choose kind of whatever temperature we want. And then we can also deflect that air to go to the defroster, to our face, to our feet, that sort of thing. But what happens now is as we put the heat back into the refrigerant, because we're taking heat out of the car, that liquid refrigerant evaporates. That's why this is called an evaporator. And so now that refrigerant has evaporated, and it's a low pressure vapor, goes back to the compressor, and the cycle starts all over again. So very quick refresher. We compress the refrigerant to about 250 pounds. It's a gas, goes into the condenser. Condenser dissipates the heat. It condenses into a liquid. That liquid refrigerant goes to the expansion valve, or in some cars, it's just an orifice tube that's just a restriction. That immediately drops the pressure. We now have a low pressure liquid that goes through our evaporator. It evaporates back into a gas, and it goes back to the compressor. Now, that's basically how it works. I don't know if anybody saw anything, but we have this one other part kind of laying off to the side. This is called an accumulator. Sometimes it's also called a receiver dryer. And depending on what type of system is where that's located. Some are quite small, and they're on the outlet of the condenser. And those are typically when we have an expansion valve system. Otherwise, we have larger ones that are on the outlet of the evaporator, and they are usually used on the orifice tube systems. And what they do is they do store excess refrigerant, and they also have a desiccant bag in them. And that desiccant bag is kind of like the little bag that's in your bottle of vitamins to keep moisture out. The reason we don't want any moisture in here is because if we have moisture and it gets to this expansion valve where that pressure drops and it's a very tiny orifice, it's going to freeze immediately and we're not going to have any refrigerant flow. So we have that to help remove the moisture. We also have it to store refrigerant so we don't get liquid refrigerant into the compressor. Now, if we're going to fill the system up, we have to first evacuate it. And basically what we're doing is we're sucking the entire system down into a vacuum. And by doing that, we do a couple of things. One is we remove the air. But also, when we're under a vacuum, things boil or evaporate more readily. So we evaporate off the moisture that's in there. We evaporate other chemicals and things that we don't want in the system. And then when we charge it up, it's very critical to have the right amount of charge. So we look up the specification. We see how much weight it's supposed to be, and we put that amount of refrigerant in. If we put too little in, we actually won't lubricate the compressor, because what we also have in the system is some oil, and that oil circulates with the refrigerant, and it lubricates the compressor. If we have too much in there, then our pressures will go high, and the system's just not going to cool right. If we have too much oil in there, the same thing happens because the oil displaces the refrigerant that needs to be there, and so our pressures go up and it doesn't work. One last little note. A lot of cars have a cabin air filter that filters the air that goes over this evaporator. If that cabin air filter gets severely plugged, we won't get enough airflow over this evaporator, and we will not evaporate the refrigerant. It will come out of there as a liquid. It can get to the compressor and it can damage it as well. So a lot of stuff here, but that's basic 101 air conditioning. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until next time, safe travels to you and blessings.